Hi and welcome. Thanks for joining us. We are back with another Fireside Chat. My name is Julie Hollinger and I am the Programs Manager at the Military Family Resource Center. I am joined here today by Claudia Beswick, who is the Executive Director at the PMFRC, as well as our special guest, Sue Leclair, who is our Children's Services Manager. Sue has joined us a couple of times and it's always great to have her on board. We especially wanted to have Sue with us this month. This is a really important month for the military community. April is Month of the Military Child. When we talk about military families, we often think about the adults in military families and the challenges that they face, but children face it as well. Those children, as they go through, they're going through the same challenges, and they are processing in a different way. So we really wanted to take this opportunity to recognize the fabulous military kids in our community. But before we do, Claudia, as we have for many months, we are talking about business resumption and the services as they are reopening now that we are lifting some of those COVID restrictions. Do you want to talk about where we are now at the PMFRC?
Absolutely. We are really happy to say that the Southside Community Center is now open to the public. Play Troop is also reopened to in-person programming, but it is limited numbers still. We're still limited for the number of people in the space. So pre-registration is required and you can access the registration information on our website. We are not ready yet to have specific in-person programs or activities, but we will restart the porch pickups within the next week or two. So Julie, I'm sure we'll have that information up on our social media sites as soon as her team is ready to figure out what the schedule is for that. The majority of our buildings are now open. The only exception to that is the Family Center, which is located on Reichwald. The Family Center houses our mental health team. That includes our social workers, our family advocacy coordinator, and our youth counselor, and our veteran family program coordinator. So the building is not open to the general public, but to those clients that have scheduled appointments with the staff in the building, it is open to them and they can reach them through that building. Specialized care continues and CAT families can access the service for various appointments, mental health breaks, whatever unique military lifestyle challenges there are. We've opened that up a little bit more and they can be accessed through the Southside Community Center location right now. Northside is casual care is not open yet, but there is some service available at the South Side and there is an intake process. So you can check the information for that on our website as well. And just a reminder that we are in base buildings. So any visitors to any one of our locations, you still need to wear a mask. However, all the screening protocols have been done. We're not doing that anymore with the exception of the daycares. They need to still follow ministry protocols. So not really sure specifically what the screening is that they're doing, Sue, if you want to touch on that, but other than that, we are really moving towards our new normal with more staff being in the building on a more permanent basis. Sue, do you want to talk a bit about the screening?
Sure. So our families are now going to the online screening tool that's used from the Renfrew County District Health Unit. So in the morning before they arrive to care, they go online, do the screening. If they pass, they come in, and then they just continue to follow the steps on the online screening tool. So there's no direct active screening happening right at the child care centers, but parents are following through with completing those online tools. So that's great.
Thank you, Sue. After this session is over, I'm going to go down and put in the comment section. I'll put a link to the specialized care and some of the other information so you can get all those links in one quick and easy place and find that information. So Sue, it's Month of the Military Child. You have worked in children's services at MFRCs for a number of years in a number of different locations. You also are a military mom. Do you want to talk about some of the unique challenges and some of the things that you see that are specific to military kids?
Sure. So how do I start to answer that question about challenges our little ones face every day? I think, first of all, it's important to note that they don't really know that they're going through these challenges. This is their life. They're military children. So, you know, depending on their age and how they're growing in their development, this is all they know is this military world. And we really try, you know, April is Month of the Military Child, but we really try to focus on the uniqueness of our families all through the year. But I think they do definitely see unique challenges, and it's up to the adults in their life to identify that and support them through that. You know, our educators on our children's services team, we follow closely Dr. Jean Clinton, who uses the theory of Sonia Lupin that really talks about this acronym that fits perfectly with our military family. And it's the acronym of NUTS, NUTS. And so the N really stands for novelty, right? Something new. Moving to a new town, starting new childcare, going to a new school, meeting new friends. Everything is exciting, but also can be a really frightening experience because it's new. U is unpredictability. There's no way of knowing what's going to occur in a military family. So a parent's going away on a deployment or a course or exercise. How long will they be gone? Will I get to do the things I did when they were home? Will my routine stay the same? Am I going to get to see extended family? Will I get to be with my friends? So all of these unknown stressors for children are important for the adults in their life, so parents, educators, teachers, to understand that they don't realize they're going through these things and they may not be able to verbalize it, but they're going to show us through behavior. And it's really important, especially on our team, that we don't ask, why is this behavior happening? We always ask, what are they trying to tell us through this behavior? T is threat to ego, feeling your competence is being questioned. And S is sense of control, feeling you have no control of the situation, which is a true reality of all our military families, and especially the children, right? They're just kind of along for the ride. So this acronym really hits home to our childcare team, as most of them are military spouses and military parents themselves. So our kids live with such uncertainty, but it's just amazing to see how they continue to thrive. And they're really the most precious examples of incredible humans. They just seem to be able to pivot and adapt and adjust and move on. So April's a pretty big month for us. You know, and we really like to honor their unique lifestyle. And, you know, we've come to learn that the military family is almost a culture within its community. So I have a few little stories to share about that, you know, that I'll probably continue telling for the rest of my life. So at Little Troopers North, which is located right on the garrison, we were out in the playground and a bunch of military vehicles were driving by. And I said to a preschooler, so that's a 3-year-old, oh, look at all the tanks going down the road. And he looked at me and said, we don't have tanks in PET, we have labs. So I don't know if that's true or not, but he looked at me with such conviction and confidence that he certainly convinced me that that was correct. On another occasion, a group of children were playing in the Dramatic Play Center, and they were talking about their different houses they lived in, what their houses looked like. And one of the little girls said, well, I don't live in a house, I live in a queue. So, and she did, she lived in a queue. So it's that uniqueness, right? They already have the language. They already know that there's something different about their lifestyle. And it's to really play off that and have that, you know, teach them that pride that this is something special that them as military children get to experience.
And as we were talking, it just occurred to me that this is something that goes through your entire childhood, because you might have done a deployment before when you were a kid, when you were 3, but a deployment when you're 3 is very different than when you're 8. From a developmental perspective, they understand things and process things differently. So every time, you can't say, well, my kid's been through once and they're fine. Every time is going to be slightly different.
Yeah, that's right. So it really depends on, it depends on a variety of factors. What's going on with the family at that time, you know, where they're posted, you know, so if they've been in a community for a while, a deployment might not be as difficult because they have those connections with community partners and MFRCs and, you know, extended friends who've become family. So it does, it's really unique every time they go.
So Claudia, during the month of April, there are some sort of touchstones that we see all the way through. We see a lot of dandelions, which are the flower of the military child. And April 28th, we're doing something called Teal Up Day, and it's the first time in Petawa, but can you talk about what Teal Up Day is and sort of how it started?
Sure. The Teal Up for Military Children campaign was brought to us by the Shiloh MFRC, and it recognizes and honors the strength and resiliency of the Canadian military children. And it's really a great way for us to celebrate that. You know, Sue talked a little bit about what those unique challenges are. So when you look at the children that are dealing with moving between schools or having to deal with deployments, leaving friends behind, finding ways to reintegrate into a new community and making new friends, that's a bit challenging, right? But throughout all of it, the children really flourish and adapt. They're so easily adaptable to situations. And I think there's no better way to celebrate our military children than by honoring them on the 28th of April, which is our Teal Up Day. And why teal, you ask? When we look at all the colors from all the branches of the military, the Air Force is blue, the Army is green, the Navy is blue and white, and all these colors combined form the single color of teal. So hence the Teal Up Day. So on the 28th of April, you may see many of our staff and children in teal t-shirts. You may even see a few ribbons on the fences and trees around some of the daycares. You'll notice some other awareness campaigns that our marketing team is working on as well. They've been doing an amazing job so far, just showing recognition and acknowledgement of military families. A huge thank you to Shiloh MFRC for sharing this initiative, and what a great way to recognize the resilience of children right across the country. So I know there are other MFRCs that are jumping on board with Teal Up, and this is, I think, the second or third year that Shiloh has worked on this, and so it's really getting bigger and bigger, and huge thank you to them for bringing it to our attention. And if anyone would like to join us in celebrating our military children, we invite you to wear a teal color shirt. Don't be shy to post any pictures on Facebook or Instagram, and share your story and tag us. I'm pretty sure Julie can talk a little bit about how you can tag us in Facebook and Instagram. We'd really like to see all of the, a sea of teal, I guess, on the 28th.
And if you don't have teal in your wardrobe, you've got a couple of weeks to get working on that. So there's definitely some options there. So in addition to teal, I know that you said, Sue, that you celebrate military culture and military kids throughout the year. What do you have planned specifically for the month of April?
So we have a lot of fun activities planned for the children. One that we're really excited about is our parents are now allowed back into our programs. So parents will be coming into our programs and kind of doing a show and tell presentation about what they do, but also talk about how honored they are and how important their children play in the life of their military family, right? Then why they do what they do because of their children. So we're really excited about that. And I'm sure everybody's aware that for the past 2 years, families haven't been able to come into our programs. So it's really nice to have that communication and that connection and building those relationships again. There'll be lots of dandelion art activities and discussions around dandelions. And, you know, dandelion is the perfect symbol for a military child, because no matter what you do to a dandelion, they, you know, bounce back. There's nothing that can keep a dandelion down. As Claudia said, we're having our Teal Up Day on the 28th. And this is something that we're also excited about, because we can share with the children, this is unique to you. You get this t-shirt because of the family you belong to and because you're a military child. So that's really just kind of honoring them and their uniqueness one more way. There's going to be a handprint Canadian flag being made by the children. They're creating all about me books, which is fantastic. And we also do those books when children are posted away. So when they go to their new childcare center or new school, they can share what they like to do, what their favorite things are. We have a map of the world that parents tag a picture of their child on a wall in one of our programs. And it really shows, you know, where our families come from, not only from all across the country, but some of them come from all around the world. So that's really, you know, another uniqueness, that our military unites us together from all around the world. There's some small world play areas being set up all about Garrison Petawawa. There's a hero wall being made. There's a card exchange with the PMFRC and other MFRCs in Ontario where the children are exchanging cards. There's a visit to a museum. The older children planned a an obstacle course. So they wanted to have a fun fitness afternoon and obstacle course, which is really kind of unique too, right? They're used to seeing, especially if they're in care at Little Troopers North, they're used to seeing that all the time. They're right behind Dundonald Hall. They're seeing the soldiers work out and train. And there'll be lots of stories about military families.
Is Miss Sue going to be on the obstacle course?
Maybe.
For those of you with a keen eye, I was thinking as Sue was talking, you can see there's a dandelion on the door behind Sue's head there. So it's very much a standard image that we have a lot of the MFRCs. So Sue, through the year, we have a lot of kids in our programs that come from military families, and they are going through different challenges, different times of the year. How does the team support military families? What can they do to really help families and children with those experiences?
I think, first of all, MFRC childcare is unique, especially in Petawawa, as most of our educators are either married to a military spouse, come from a military family, are raising their own military children. So we get it. We understand. Like, we know the different stressors. We know it's challenging. It's challenging to raise any child, but putting these kind of barriers in place, family members being away, not being able to access extended family, moving is just additional stressors on families. So we really try to do the simple little things that lessen the stress for families. So we always tell, our parents, if your partner's away and you're bringing one little one to soccer, dropping another one off at dance, and you have a little 2-year-old on your hip, and you're, worried about what you're going to make for dinner tonight, they eat very well in our childcare programs. Our menus are ministry approved. We follow the Canada Food Guide. They're getting healthy meals. They get lots of food. So don't feel that extra guilt about going through the drive-through or making, craft dinner for dinner. Like, they're getting the meals that they need at daycare. All parents have guilt, but I think that guilt is really amplified for military families because there's so much else going on in their world. Our programs, our soldiers have to be at work early. Our programs open early, and there's nothing wrong with dropping your little one off in their pajamas with the hairbrush and elastic and saying, this is how I could get them here this morning. Our educators will dress them and do their hair. That's we get it. The most important thing for us is that mom and dad get to drop off and leave seeing their children happy, because then they can go to work and not have to worry, because there's nothing worse than dropping your child off at care when they're already upset. The other thing we really, we're really blessed to have is our online communication tool, Story Park. So we've really used it during the pandemic. It was quite vital to build those relationships and keep those connections with families. But it's also really important to keep connected with families when they're on exercise and when they're on course and deployed or just working long extra hours. And again, the uniqueness is the children will tell you. They have the lingo. Like, they'll say, my mom's on course, my dad's on tour, they're gone on exercise. Everybody knows where Wainwright is, they want to find that on the map. So they have that. So families get to share every day what their children are learning and doing in care. And families also get to choose, 5 people to have on their storybook page, which is often grandparents, aunts, uncles who aren't living in the area. So that's really helpful. And I do have a few stories to share about how important that, I truly believe Story Park is. So we had a little toddler and his mom was deployed, and he was giving dad a run for his money at drop-off time. Lots of tears, didn't want to come. Daddy wasn't doing it right. Mommy did it this way. So the educator reached out to mom on Story Park and said, why not every night you post a video saying good morning to your little guy and talking about the things you've seen on Story Park. And when he comes in, he'll get to say good morning to you. So the family was quite on board with it. So every morning when this little guy came in, he would climb up on the rocking chair and the educator would give him the tablet, play the video. Mom would say good morning, wish him, he had a great day, talk a little bit on the video about what she's seen him do the day before. He'd turn off the video, kiss and hug the tablet. The educator would put it up and he was good to go for the day. And I think the biggest relief was on dad, because now it was a quick drop off. he could head to work, stop at Tim Hortons, get his coffee, and not have to worry about, I just dropped my child off kicking and screaming because they wanted their mom to, but she's deployed. So I think that really helped with that transition and supported that family and kind of kept them connected. So the other story I have is a preschooler. They were getting ready for rest time and they all have these cute little cots. And he asked the educator, can you take a picture and send it to Daddy on Story Park, who was again away, and show him where I sleep? So sure enough, the educator did that. The next day they got a picture back from the dad saying, this is where I sleep when I'm away. And the little one got to present it at what we call small group time and show everybody. And then it just, a whole conversation came around about, oh, my daddy's gone, my mommy's gone, or it kind of, builds on that military culture again. This is unique to what they're going through every day.
We are so blessed to have this kind of technology. And it's amazing how these things that we take for granted now really allow families to stay connected through these challenges in a way that just wasn't possible 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So in addition to children's services, not all kids in our community are obviously in our care programs. What other services does the MFRC provide to support families and to support children? Claudia.
We have a variety of programs and services that are available. And right now, there's some in person and there's some virtual. So, I will say I'll share a bunch of information. Julie will have some links in the comments below, but everything is accessible and available on the CAF Connection website. So make sure you check there if you have questions. So we have Play Troop, which is our early on parent-child program that Sue oversees as well. We have our pre and postnatal program, which is really good, and a great way for new families also to meet new people if they're posted into Petawawa and already pregnant. We have a dedicated youth counselor available for one-on-one sessions at both Valor and Bishop Smith High School. And students can sign up for an appointment using sign-up sheets in the main office, and they don't need a parent's permission to do that. They can just access the counselor on the days that she's in the school. We have a wide range of supports for children with special needs, either one-on-one supports or various programs and other activities. We have the Exceptional Families Network. We have a sensory library and an All About Me guide, which is very specific to families dealing with special needs. And if you do have children, teens, or an adult dealing with special needs, you should check out the new virtual sensory room. That's been pretty awesome. Amy's been working really hard on that. And it's just a wonderful resource and one that we were happy to get funding from Tim Hortons, the cookie campaign, in order to start that. We have resources available for families, children's, teens who are dealing with deployments or various training and exercises. This also includes families that are dealing or navigating an IR posting. So IR being if the member's off the base and the family is still here, they can reach out and get those supports because it is still a separation in the family. We have a great youth volunteer program. High school students can earn their volunteer credits for graduation, or any youth who are just interested in looking at getting more involved with the community or wanting to meet new friends. It's a great way to do that. And we have mental health supports for families. So for young kids that want parenting, if they need to see a social worker or a family advocacy coordinator, they can do that right up until the teens, right, for our youth counselor. So just if you're curious, if there is children that are not, that are struggling a little bit with a move or any situation going on, we have the supports available for that. And although we are not 24/7, there are services available for children outside of those hours. So there is the crisis text line for kids, and that's Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Service that has partnered with the Kids Help Phone, True Patriot Love Foundation, and the Lockheed Martin Canada and they've launched a crisis texting service for kids specifically for military families living in Canada. Children and youth, young adults from military families can access free mental health and well-being support by texting the keyword CAF Kids at 68686, and the service is in English. The crisis text line is powered by the Kids Help Phone, and it's confidential, available day or night. We've also talked before about the Strongest Families Institute, and this service is available for child or youth between the ages of 3 and 17 who are experiencing behavior issues or anxiety, which is what we've seen a lot more of lately, given the situation with the pandemic. And they're a not-for-profit organization that provides services to children and families who are seeking help for mental health and other issues or situations that are impacting their health and well-being. So this is virtual, as is the kids texting piece. So, but it is a service that's available to families, to children and youth outside of normal operating hours.
Thank you. I will put all of that information in the comment section, including the numbers for the CAF texting line, so families have that. One of the things that I wanted to sort of to close on, Claudia, is we talked a lot about the challenges of being a military kid and some of the unique challenges and some of the struggles that they might be having. You are in a unique position because you were a military kid. Can you talk about some of the benefits? Because I mean, there are obviously some drawbacks and challenges, but there's also some really, really great things about being a military kid. Do you want to talk to some of those things?
Yeah, you're aging me. That really seems like a lifetime ago. One of the things I really enjoyed the most was the adventure of moving. I got the bug early, because we did move every few years. And I think it really was the first piece that gave me the travel bug, right? Being able to see so many different places and learn about different cultures in all the places that we traveled and visited. I was lucky enough that my parents had several postings to do so many different countries, like a lot easier than you would having to travel across the country in Canada. And, I remember one of the best things was a school trip that I did in grade 7 or 8. And we went skiing in Switzerland for a week. So you don't often get to do that. And it was a lot of fun, and Switzerland was just beautiful. And what a great way to, to learn more about somebody else's culture and the country. I was also lucky enough that we had hosted an Australian exchange student to live with us for a few months. That was pretty awesome because we were on some of the different stuff that you eat that you can't find in Canada, that kind of stuff. And, it's definitely challenging having to leave friends behind. There's no doubt about that, and learn how to make new friends with each move. And it was no different for me. I was a very shy child. So, and certainly back then we did not have social media like you have right now. So you had to rely on writing letters and postcards. Postcards was a thing. And that wasn't really something that I was consistent in doing, unfortunately. But the best thing now is that we can reconnect through social media. And I've been able to reconnect with friends that I had in Germany, friends that, I made friends in Germany. And then, when we get posted back to Canada, we're spread throughout the country. And lo and behold, you can track people down on Facebook. And I've actually reconnected with the Australian exchange student that lived with us back in the day. So I think that's pretty cool too. And I learned a lot. A lot of all that resiliency has pretty much helped me throughout my married life and bringing up my own military children. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
I think it's such an interesting point that Sue made, and talking about the fact that it's a unique culture, and to kids, they don't know anything different. Like they don't know anything else. They are military kids, and this is their everyday life, and they get on with it, and they do such a fabulous job. Thank you all very much for joining us. Keep watching social media. We have a lot planned online on Facebook and on Instagram. We're going to be doing some profiles of some local military kids, so you can put some names and faces to those military kids. On the 13th of April, we have our next edition of Military Family Life podcast. We're talking to Tammy Barkley about her experience raising military kids through the various challenges. So that's Military Family Life, and you can listen to that wherever you listen to podcasts, and I'll put it in the comment section. And also, we are going to be doing another fireside chat this month on the 28th of April. for National Volunteer Week, we are going to be talking with Colonel Bass and Chief Warrant Officer Durnford from the garrison. So they are going to be here talking to us about volunteerism, and they may mention Teal Up because it is going to be the 28th of April for Teal Up Day. So get your teal shirts. Check out the comment section for all of those links and all of that information. And thank you all so much for joining us. Sue, thank you for sharing your stories. We are part of an incredible community, and we are very blessed. And it's great to hear those stories and those little people who are doing such a great job. Have a wonderful